Welcome everyone to the LEC post-game lobby. Yeah, turn up that volume. I'm Shox, joined by Frost and by Jankos. What is your first reaction?
Sucks. I mean, I think I'm not too worried, you know, we lost the game. We made some bad decisions. As excuses, I can say that we didn't really scrim this week because we wanted to take some time off before playoffs to actually not get burned out throughout the season. So, yeah, I mean, we just didn't play our best game, right? And we got outplayed, we lost, we were worst team, that's fine.
I like that you say that because I know there's been some talk, you know, online also about, oh, they're not taking it seriously, blah, blah, blah. But I like that you're sitting down and saying, of course it still sucks. Of course you still want to win those games. And yeah, you didn't play your best today. Tell us about the rock, paper, scissors.
Okay, so I don't know what happened in the draft again, but I was supposed to play Kha'Zix, but then top lane played Kha'Zix. And then in the last 50 seconds of the draft, Caps also wanted to play Kha'Zix. So they had to do a rock, paper, scissors between who plays Kha'Zix when I was already stuck on Elise. That I chose like 2 seconds before we had to log in the last champion. So I think, I mean, it was planned to like go easy on them with the draft when it comes to like us trying champions. Yeah. But I was a bit confused about that.
Yeah, because I heard that you were going to try things. That was an active plan, or a couple of things, right? That could work.
I mean, I think Kha'Zix looked fine, you know. I don't think Kha'Zix was the reason why we lost or any other champions. We just played poorly, you know. We executed a couple of bad ganks on bot and they just kind of snowballed. The Drake was like pretty bad as well. So I think if you make so many bad decisions in game, you can't really say that it was because of a champion that you lost the game. You just lost because, yeah, you just got played, right?
But it could have gone a bit better with other champions, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe if we wouldn't brawl as much, because if we pick Kha'Zix for the comp, we want to probably like split push with Akali and go like 1-3-1 and not really fight them 5-5. But since we were so behind in game, we find it was hard for us to not fight them as they would force objectives a lot. And even though like there was this one fight bot that they snowballed the game even harder, like around 15-20 minutes. And then another fight on mid where they got Nash after. Otherwise, they would still like be playing for Drakes and keep snowing the game. And I think, yeah, it was just not an easy game for us.
Frosk, how would you have played this out with the Kha'Zix?
I mean, it sounds like you guys were playing like a battle royale before you even got on the stage, and who was going to get Kha'Zix? I'm really sorry that you didn't get to play it. I know that we see Kha'Zix over in the LCK and the LPL far more. They're still playing on 915 as far as I'm aware. So do you think that this is a champion that suits 915? Is this going to be something that we see for playoffs?
After this game, honestly.
You're like, no, please.
We might not see it ever again, but no, I mean, I think Kha'Zix is decent right now. They buffed the Q damage by 20, and even though it's like not that big, it's still a decent buff, and I think it could be played in the jungle. Could be also played top and mid, it seems like. So we tried, didn't work out, right? I mean, we are known from the fact that we like to try our picks, and sure, if they don't work out, then people can say that we are trolling. But if they do, they're like, wow, we are so insane, you know, so smart. So yeah, this one just didn't work out, at least in this game. But like I mentioned before, I think that's mainly because of our play and not because of the champion itself.
I was talking to Kadril, and we were talking about Duskblade junglers and just how it feels really good in scrims because you can just pop off, but in stage, because teams tend to play slower, a bit more conservatively, that you don't get the same value out of that. Do you feel confident that G2 plays a style that you could take like the Kha'Zix and the Kianas and be very successful them versus like locking Sejuani every single game?
I mean, I think champion like Sejuani is playing not super balanced, so I can assume that if you play Sejuani, we'll have a lot of success. But I think right now there's a lot of squishy champion in the meta, and people tend to play some ranged champions bot lane as well, and then top lane is like kind of squishy too. So in this game it didn't happen. They had Jarvan, they had Mordekaiser and Alistar, so none of them was actually like super squishy. Even Sylas is not like the most squishy mid laner, so it was really hard for Kha'Zix to find picks. But I think in some cases it's possible to play a Duskblade champion in the jungle or any other role and still do well.
So let's turn it then on G2. Do you feel a bit, you know, shafted because all your other people on your team want to play these squishy all-in champions all the time and not maybe pick up another thing that can balance out the team? So we know we meme about it, but then you have to go on the Sejuani or something like that. Do you feel like your freedom is limited?
I mean, I don't really feel like it. We just play whatever we think is the best. And sometimes I'm played on Sejuani, but I don't even think I played that many Sejuani games this split, like maybe 4 or 5. So obviously I would prefer to play a carry champion, but if that's like the way where we can win the draft because we pick that Sejuani, which is fine blind, and then my solo laners can get counter picks and they really like it, then I'm fine doing that, you know, because in the end it's about whoever wins the game and not whoever has the most fun. And this game, I think maybe we had more fun, but they still won the game. So after all, they had more fun, you know.
Yeah, I mean, they also lock 4th place, so that's really good for them. And the key player of the game is Ignar with 62% of the votes, which is interesting. We're going to talk about MVP later and about like all pro team because the votes are due in 2 days. And we were talking about the support champ pool and how after 1 and 2, you're kind of left, you know, after
like a cliff.
Mickey and Hylissang, you're kind of like, all right. What now? But Ignar, I think, is then a valid choice.
I put Ignar as my third. I did Mickey, Hilly, Ignar.
Yeah, and we still need this game. So who'd you put third?
I think
Or
Ignar's
first and second.
pretty well. First probably Mickey and second, yeah, Hilly.
Yeah.
And then either Vander or Ignar. I think Vander has been playing pretty well this split so far. He's not a flashy support. He doesn't make those like he's not doing a lot of those crazy plays. But I think he really knows where to be on the map and when. So I felt like this split so far he has been playing pretty good.
We'll talk more about Rogue as well later because, of course, they got the win today. And let's take a look at the standings and the playoffs so far. G2 still to secure the top spot, number 1. You could still actually lose it. If Fnatic wins tomorrow and you lose, then Fnatic is first. But, of course, that doesn't change anything for places 1 and 2. You're definitely still in top 2, which is also why you've been experimenting. Splice is then in 3rd and Schalke locked in 4th, and I believe all those positions are locked. That means we're still none the wiser when it comes to the final 2 playoff spots. Jankos, what do you think of what's been happening in the race for playoffs today?
I mean, before I thought it's really safe to say Vitality and Origin would make it, but now today Origin lost to Rogue, and Vitality, I mean, won this weird game against us, but like they are not playing super well. So, I mean, honestly, I don't know which team will make it to playoffs. I think Origin will still make it because even though today they played bad, I think they can pick it up for tomorrow. I think they're a team that doesn't tilt easily. With all the pressure on,
you know who they're playing? SK. SK, the team that today beat Vitality, it needed everything to go in their favor, needed Vitality and Origin to lose and needs to win twice. With a player like Selfmade up against an Origin on tilt, I'm afraid for Origin, Frosk.
We were joking, and we do story meets before every single series, and they give us a breakdown about like what the percentages of teams like walking playoffs, and the Destiny collision course that the LEC is currently on was like a 1.25% chance of happening or something ridiculously small. And I think all of us looked at each other in the room like, oh, okay, so that's the one that's going to happen. And
listen,
perfectly,
SK,
we're going towards tiebreakers.
SK needs to beat Origin and Schalke needs to beat Vitality for a tiebreaker. For SK to
We
still
love
make it to-
tiebreakers.
I mean, it's insane. Yeah, Jankos, what have you found of SK? They were a playoff team, right, in spring, and it was all about Selfmade. They look a bit different so far in summer. What do you think?
I mean, well, they didn't really look that great because I didn't feel like Selfmade was carrying them as hard. But it seems like when they swapped mid laners, maybe like new blood kind of came into the team and they started tryharding again. And yeah, I think their bot lane improved quite a lot compared to Spring Split. And as a team, they are playing better. Maybe some individuals are not as flashy, but they are a decent team right now.
I'm gonna say like some real talk. Pyrion was very inconsistent, had a lot of variance for me. There's too many times when he was walking back into mid lane and he would die for almost no reason, that he was losing a lot of trades and a lot of matchups that just weren't going in his favor. So I don't want to like hard flame Pyrion, but I think it was probably the most obvious roster adjustment to make. And now that you have Gen X, it looks night and day different, and it really allows Selfmade to continue to play. And if SK Gaming have decided that like Selfmade's the guy that they're going to invest in and play around, then I think that one made the most sense. And I just hope that Pyrion can correct his form, get back in the LEC, and we see more of him.
Yeah, we will see tomorrow. So, Jankos, what do you make of Origin's issues? We can't figure it out.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I think they have decent players and they were a good team. They even fought us in the final Spring Split. But ever since Summer Split started, like at the beginning of the Summer Split, they were doing fine. And then since Rift Rivals, they are just not playing so well. And I don't know what happened today, for example, because at some point it seemed like they maybe were tilted and they didn't really try to win. Even some of their drafts are not so great. So I don't know what happened to this team. I still think though that they will not tilt for tomorrow, and I think they will do decent
Frost
against
and
SK.
I were discussing it earlier, and it's kind of this thing about Origin from the start was one of those teams that wanted to play the perfect game, you know, and take the 100% decisions. And now it seems very often they take the 20% decisions, like twice in a row, and that puts the game completely in a state that they don't want. And we don't understand how you go from one to the other. Is it other teams have improved? Is it, I don't know, teams have figured them out? It's a very hard one to get against.
I think it's just like mental boom. And it's not in the sense of like mental boom of like tilt. It's like they actually just lose their minds because you just don't expect that of that caliber of players. And again, when you have them isolated, when it's just like Alfari versus his lane opponent, or even Patrick and Mithy versus their lane opponents, it's totally fine. They take good trades. They're fine about how their matchups are. But as soon as it comes to like making decisions on the map, they just make the wrong one consistently. And that is something so unexpected between like veteran expertise of Mithy and Cold. You expect that these guys piloting the team with Nuke Duck on top would make the right choice every single time.
Have you been in, can you remember maybe a situation where you've been in and your team is better than what is being showed on the Rift and you find yourself in a mental kind of disarray in the game in your career? Have you?
I mean, it probably happened before where, I mean, even in H2K last year probably, or like 2 years ago, we had that time where we would play decent in scrims but could never do anything on stage. But that's also because scrims are way more bloody, and we even had this Duskblade subject where we said, yeah, sure, maybe you can get kills as jungle with Duskblade. But yeah, I mean, on stage, I think the difference between Origin now and Origin Spring Split is that in scrims in Spring Split they would play really slow and they would, yeah, make all the plays based on like kind of slow decisions. But I feel like in Summer Speed they started to play more aggressive, but they didn't play the same way on stage. So their scrims looked kind of weird where they would like trade kills and play really aggressive. And then on stage they would play kind of scared and still like try to make only good decisions, don't take 50-50 fights. And today, for example, they did play aggressive, but they played bad aggressive and they were like running into Rogue and dying. So I think they tried to fix it for this week, and they really tried to play more aggressive, make those 50-50 plays, but this time they were not in their favor.
No, not at all. Rogue just turned it all around, and that means that if Rogue tomorrow wins against Fnatic, they lock themselves in playoffs. And what a story that is. Jankos, of course, you know Vander, you know some people on that lineup quite well, I believe. What do you think of their story and the fact that they went from last place to this?
I mean, I don't know how it happened. Like, I didn't really think Rogue is a bad team. But I mean, Woolite was underperforming, and as a team, they would just get caught a lot. And even though they could play the game, they would just like, you know, die and lose their leads or just not get a lead at all. Also, their early games are like not super clean unless Inspired is on Olaf. Like when Inspired is on Olaf, he's kind of carrying, but other than that, not much is happening. But I mean, currently they are playing, you know, good. They are playing as a team. They have Finn, and I still don't think it's enough for Fnatic, but maybe with some luck.
Yeah, maybe. It's one of those, yeah, as I say, it's one of those things that has to converge into that 1% chance for everything to happen. We'll see. There's also the battle for Athens. A Splyce loss and a Fnatic win would lock Fnatic in second. I think Splyce has made it very difficult for themselves to still get second, I believe. It depends on G2 losing as well. So, yeah, they kind of gave it up today, Frost.
There was an interesting Cassiopeia problem in this game in that wherever Nemesis went on Cassiopeia, Splyce wanted nothing to do with that champion, kept pulling Chachi, and it felt like it just allowed Nemesis to stack up so much power on this Cassiopeia that when they grouped up into fights, you had Whippo on the Urgot, who was super unkillable, and then you had Cassiopeia dishing out so much damage that Reckless could do whatever he wanted.
Did you see this game, or were you in the shuttle?
Well, I was in the shuttle, but I watched some of this game, and I think some of the skirmishes that Splyce took were misplayed. Not even bad skirmishes, but they just didn't play as well. But yeah, it seemed like Cassiopeia was like kind of 1v9 there, you know, like she was super powerful, and when she got those items, it's so hard to do anything because the miasma doesn't allow you to like even go in or go out, and she just one-shot everyone. So I think the Medis had a really decent showing Cassiopeia.
Yeah, it was super annoying for Splyce.
This is a perfect example of it. The fact that Nemesis like TPs in, recognizing how strong he is. And again, if you go back and watch the game, talking to Kadril, like, they just avoid Cassie. Anytime she's out into a side lane, suddenly Splyce are playing the complete side of the map because there was just no one who could 1v1 and deal with her. She could kill the Corki, she could kill the GP, take everything.
What's surprising for me is that they played Castle TP, so they didn't have clans, and they had Sejuani. And I'm a Sejuani expert, so I can say that I think Sejuani Corki could be able to deal with Cassia because she didn't build any magic resist, and even though they had she had Seraphs and she could like shield herself for a bit, she's still kind of one-shot if she gets Sejuani ulted, and they also had GP ult to follow. So I think they didn't play as well with their resources.
Oh, I remember a specific instance where Xerxes does get the flank off, and then we were asking for, the gangplank ult, and it didn't happen. Anyway, when we talked to Cadril after, he said that even though Splice lost that game, he found that the teams were very, very close together in Fnatic and Splice. So if it would come to a best of 5, it would be close. Do you share that opinion, or do you think one or the other would come out ahead in a best of 5?
I mean, I think maybe how they play us a team is similar, but I still would bet Fnatic as like superior players towards Splice. So I would probably put Fnatic like 3-1ing Splice in a BO5. I can still see Kobe carrying it because even today he was like really like trying really hard to carry and he was really aggressive. But in a BO5 scenario, I would still give it to Fnatic.
Frost?
I mean, I agree. I think the difference is that again, it's like X factor and clutch moments, and it just felt like Fnatic. Like this game was literally just small moments of Fnatic players just popping off individually. Nemesis with his TP in, Reckless with his Kai'Sa ultimates, Bwipo, you know, first blood of Vizicachi, brought out the Urgot, and then was just unkillable. And like Kabe was trying to just like be superhuman and pull it together, and we know Kabe can do that, but now we need like Humanoid to step up and do it, and we need Norskaran to step up and do it. And I think that's just kind of the difference, where Splice feels so close in terms of their decision making, their compositions, how they want to play the game, but when it comes to those small, big clutch moments, you know that Fnatic's members consistently will be able to do it, and you just don't have the tape that Splice's members will do it, and that's the gap.
Yeah, and if Fnatic lock that second place, we'll of course have the winners or the Kings match, the G2 versus Fnatic once, then maybe twice. Is there anything threatening about a best of 5 against any of the teams that will make it into playoffs for you? How's your confidence level going into it? Because it's kind of like, there's no way G2 is going to lose, but everyone wants you kind of to drop the ball.
I mean, if we play like today, then there is no hope. But I think we can for sure play much better in playoffs, and I think we are a good team. I think Fnatic is a good team too. And last time we played them, in fact, 2 times we played them this split, it really came down to draft. And, you know, in the first game, Caps was not playing like, I mean, yeah, he just died a couple of times. But then in the second game, Hylissang was running it. So if both teams are playing at their best, I think it would be really exciting. And obviously, I think we would win, but I think fans would be happy.
You cite draft in the 2 games versus Fnatic. You said Fnatic was individually better than the players on Splice. So do you think individually you and the Fnatic players are on the same level?
No, I think we are better.
Okay.
That's a fair point, but I mean, I think Fnatic like are going for those plays. You know, it's when I play Splice, I know that this team is going to play by the book, and they are not going to do much, especially in playoffs when it's like scary, you know, because if you lose, you're out. So you have to like, be careful. But against Fnatic, I'm pretty sure that, you know, Hylissang, Broxa, Nemesis, Reckless, people like whoever will like look for those plays, and it's the same with G2. You know, we are always looking for plays. We are always trying to do something. So again, playing against a team like Fnatic, it's for sure way more scary than playing against a team like Splice. Because even though I still think we are better, then Fnatic will actually try to punish us and look for those plays as well.
Okay. You can actually lose twice if you're 1 or 2, if you go into the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
But you're not planning to, I think. Another topic I want to talk to you about, specifically Jankos and Frostq as well, the Summer Split MVP.
MVP!
We're going to start voting. So for you guys not familiar with the system, the teams, everyone on air, also people in the stats team, and a whole bunch of people who have valued opinions, you know, and Vedius, get to vote for... Sorry, Betty. We love you. Get to vote for MVP as well as the all-pro teams for everything, the rookies, the coaches, etc. We already talked about support, but let's start with MVP. 1, Jankos, do you think you should win it, and why?
Well, it'll be great.
But make a case for yourself.
I think I was performing pretty decent this year overall, and I think Spring Split I was playing too much Karthus, so people didn't really like me because I didn't really need to do much, just press my ult. I think Summer Split I've been playing more engaged supports, and for some reason I'm getting a lot of MVPs on Sejuani. And yeah, I mean, I don't really like to brag about my play, but I think I'm decent, you know. But if I don't get MVP, it's fine. Like, sure.
Well, I mean, the reason I ask is also we just had the LEC Legends piece come out about you, and I kind of feel like a lot has been building up to this, and it's almost, even if it's not all in the play, it's almost everything you've worked for all these years. Do you feel that as well? Like you're coming into this kind of golden era of Jankos?
Well, honestly, it's kind of sad that I couldn't get MVP for 5 years. But if I can get it before I retire, then I guess, you know, it's an achievement. So let's get it, you know.
So basically erase that last thing what he said about I don't care if I don't get it. Yeah.
No, I mean, yeah, it would feel great, you know, to feel like the most, especially that I'm playing with so many talented players in my team.
A team with caps and perks and wonders.
Yeah,
If you get the
caps,
MVP off of this G2 roster, then you could say like you got the MVP when it could have been any of those players. It could have been Caps, it could have been Perks, Mickey, Wonder, and you got it.
Or grabs. No.
Or
maybe
grabs.
not grabs, maybe not grabs.
Yeah, Frost, do you think Jankos deserves it? Or are
I mean,
you
I
willing
voted
to
for
share?
him.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, I
Nice.
voted. I already did.
But what's your top
submitted
three?
it. Do I have to reveal them? Okay.
No,
so
you don't have to. I'm leaving you a choice.
It was quite controversial. I did you, clear favorite, and then I really wanted to give it to Perks, but for some reason, Caps just locked in second, and then
For some reason,
For some reason.
you can change it, you know, until Monday,
I'm
like 9 p.m.
still thinking about it, but all three of my submissions were G2 members. I had you, Caps, and Mickey.
Wait, I think Perks is pretty decent too. Like this split.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, it should be
It's
Perks.
difficult.
Because in all of our conversations, I'm like, it has to be Jankos or Perks gets MVP. But then I like sit and I watch games. I'm like, but we never talk about Mickey enough, and he is so damn good.
I put him second, I think.
And then I'm like, Caps is like, if you
it's
remove him
difficult.
from the team and put him on any other
Yeah,
team,
but
the
I
team
think-
infinitely gets better.
Yes, but that's always the eternal discussion about MVP is how you look at it. But I feel like if you look at Summer Split in isolation, you can make a case for Caps not being in that top 3 for G2.
And you can absolutely do that, but I'm always like trying to like check against just the exhaustion of like the Caps effects, where
Yeah.
you're just like you're used to looking at him do so many amazing things that you just kind of you stop seeing it. You're like, well, we can't give it to Caps again. He gets it every single time.
Does
so
it
you like
bore you?
grab someone else.
Does it bore you that everyone's always like, oh, Caps, he's so good. And then you're like, guys, I'm carrying these guys whenever they're feeding.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's not really boring because he's really good, you know.
Because you're winning.
Yeah, because we are winning. I mean, he got MVP of MSI and then Spring Split, and probably last year he got some MVPs as well. I'm not sure, but yeah, I mean, he's playing really well. I think this split he still performed really well, but maybe people like Luca, for example, you know, he pulled so many different picks onto bot lane, and I think every single game he's performed really well. He didn't have any games where he was like in sync compared to Spring Split, for example. And Mickey as well is you know super important for the team. He's roaming well and being on the map. So I mean, like you guys mentioned, there's a lot of cases where you can make everyone MVP, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't really see what's inside of the team, and
No.
I think that all of us are kind of important in G2. Hopefully.
No, for sure. Yeah. Frost?
No, I think it's actually really important to underline because so many times people are talking about G2's skill expression, like how talented you guys play, you guys are playing individually. But like when VODS, Ender, and I watch you guys, it's almost like there's almost like a superhuman quality to how you guys are all thinking in the same direction. And I don't know if you guys are planning out some of your crazy plays because games go so quickly, so it can't just be like that much forethought, but it's the fact that like in a moment, in a split-second decision, all of G2 think the same way. And I think that is very rare to see in League of Legends teams. Like you can sometimes see that incredible synergy between mid jungles, maybe even between bot laners, but to see all 5 players all have the instantaneous same idea and then the level to execute on the plays that you guys see, I think is what has made G2 so magical. You're a smart team, incredibly talented, and you're all on the same page. And it's that combination that Europe has never seen before, and I don't think the world has seen for a very long time. Even at SKT's like Dynasty, they were smart, they were talented, but I don't think they were this synced.
Oh, Frost!
Well, no pressure whatsoever, I guess. So at this point,
Pack it up, we're in, boys!
I mean, we do joke about it often, and I mean, we talked about it at the beginning, the fact that you guys, okay, you don't want to lose, but on the other hand, we were locked in top 2. But there is this kind of feeling of how good is G2 really? And a lot of people are starting to dream with Worlds.
Have you
just
practiced
coming up.
lifting the cup?
Yeah,
Is it
I mean,
heavy?
is that dangerous? Because when you start thinking about that, you know, anything can happen in such a long stint at Worlds, right? Or even in the playoffs. So Do you kind of try and stop yourself from thinking too far ahead?
I mean, I think we just don't really think about even Worlds yet. I mean, obviously we want to already play Worlds over over LEC because, I mean, Worlds are super exciting, right?
Yeah.
But we don't look ahead and we don't think, hey, what will happen in the World Finals, or what will happen during groups and stuff. We are just trying to think on the present and kind of improve day by day. And even though when you win a lot and you feel more cocky, you feel more comfortable with yourself, sometimes you don't play as well on stage, or sometimes you try something too crazy. But at the same time, that's why we win, because we are trying those peaks and we are just doing stuff that's outside of the box. So for now, we'll just focus on playoffs and then see what happens.
For sure. I don't think anyone will, be mad at you for saying, of course, you're thinking about Worlds. That's only natural. For us, though, we're also still very excited to see who will go to playoffs and how those will play out and who will join G2 at Worlds, because that's all left to be decided. Tomorrow will be the final day of the regular season as we decide the race for playoffs and the battle for Athens. So here we go. Splice versus Misfits. Who, Misfits put up a great fight as well. SK versus Origin. Damn. Schalke versus Vitality. G2 versus Excel. And Fnatic versus Rogue. I thought none of these would matter too much in terms of playoffs, that certain things would be locked. But now everything's left to play for. So what's the most exciting one, bar none, tomorrow?
Well, I guess Origin SK, because if Origin doesn't make playoffs after being top 2 spring split, that's like shit,
Yeah.
They really screwed up. So I would like to see that. And then
You'd like to see them screw up? Is that what you just said?
Well, I mean, it would be like, I don't have any hard feelings for them, but that would be like a story.
It's like a drama.
like a really downhill. But like I like them, so I hope they do make playoffs. But if they don't, it's like
it's from the
spicy.
Yeah, it's from the drama perspective or the storytelling.
Exactly, and then we have Fnatic Origin, so that would be pretty dope as well if Origin wins.
No, Fnatic Rogue.
Oh, Fnatic Rogue.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's Origin SK, as you just said.
Well, I'm sleepy. I actually, like yesterday, I made this challenge, and it was a really stupid idea. And today, I'm like really off.
How long did you all stream for in the end? How long? Because
Were
did
you the
shift,
last man
right?
standing?
Yeah.
I mean, I've been streaming for like only 12 hours, but I haven't been awake for like over 20, because I mean, I just woke up and I had to drive from like Poland to Berlin, and then I started like kind of late, around 7 p.m. and I ended before 8 a.m. And then Caps was streaming for like 13, because he started around 11 or 12 p.m. and then he ended at like 1 or 2 a.m.
Wait, you stopped at 8 a.m.?
Yeah.
So you don't know what year it is.
Did you know Perks was
I mean, honestly, I was not really tired when I woke up, but right now, I really want to go to bed.
Okay. So anyway, we still have 7 topics to cover. First of all, the history of Jankos throughout the 7 years. Just kidding. One cool thing, well, maybe for you, if Origin lose, it locks G2 in Worlds, because then nobody would be able to touch you, apparently.
I mean, I think we are making Worlds.
Would you like to change your prediction?
So let's see then. For you all at home, it is also soon time for the LCS Academy Finals between Golden Guardians and 100 Thieves, followed by our rebroadcast of the LEC. And then Jankos is finally going to get some sleep, and then he won't int it tomorrow. Maybe. We'll see.
Wait, did I int it? I kind of did. I think I did a bit, like at least a bit. I think we were a bit off as a team today.
For sure.
Synergy not there.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, that was all from us here tonight. Thank you so much, Jankos, for joining us. Great talk. Thank you, Frosk. Join us tomorrow as we close out the regular season. See you then.
Oh.
Going in, catches out Zerse, here comes Hillisang, straight onto the back line, the two-man charge, Connie and Humanoid still alive, Boxer jumping in, gets the knockback, but the first of all is a Fnatic member, and one will answer from Splice. Prebo gets the double, Vector's jumping in, he gets another.
There's a lot of super amount of HP on the side of Vitality, that's a re-engage, Camo Shot will find the stun as a down, but the feathers fly, and Summer, 1, 2, 3, Crouch Axe has made the roam down bottom, he's got himself an ultimate, will not be enough just yet, but the follow-up kit is. It's a double kill for Genex. Can Exile bring this one back? Teleport is going to come down here, Frostco, and as you mentioned, the Genex will be able to blow up Caedrel. The Baron is already completed.
Walleye can't quite land the long-range cannons, but he will get one. Larson takes the kill. Din still on the chase. New Jack trying to trade him, but here comes Cold. And Origin re-engage the fight, but they are shuffled to pieces. Mythic called out, no flash on him. The three-man charm on the back line. And that's what Rogue were looking for. Min takes down Patrick. And that is exactly the moment the Rogue look to secure their playoff hopes.
And you get cash if you win.
Okay, rock, paper, scissors. Rock, paper, scissors. Okay, I win.
Then we'll see perhaps if Wonder can have an impact in this. There we go! Jumps in, upset onto the back line, and Perks is down. Caps ignited, ticking down is 2, in 3, naked 4. It's all on Perks to try and defend, but in 1v3, my friend, I'm not sure you can do it. Uses the QSS, upset, just takes him out, deletes him off the face of Summoner's Rift, and with that, Schalke will take their 10th win of the split.